amount of time the average person should sit, stand, sleep, and exercise in a typical day.
All right, let's hear it.
This is the healthiest combo, according to the results. Sleep, ideally, 8 hours, 20 minutes. But you can get by with as little as 7.5.
Not even close.
Okay. Sitting, you're okay sitting for as much as 6 hours. Even 7 might be fine. However, if you watch a lot of Netflix and have a desk job, you're probably already over that.
Yeah.
Yeah. You got to get moving. I always try to do that at least once an hour in this room.
Mm-hmm.
Now, standing, that's something I used to do before I did a morning radio talk show, when I was just like a DJ in the afternoon, driving you home.
Mm-hmm.
I would stand the majority of my shift just because of the energy level. Like you're trying to keep up a certain energy level, and standing seemed to help
movement.
Me. Right.
Constant movement. And you were Jeff did it all with a lot of flair. You would almost think that he had taken dance lessons as a child, because the way that he would move the pots and maneuver the board. I mean, there was,
it's very dramatic.
Or maybe he was conducting an orchestra.
Oh, I was DJing, man.
Something. He was in it.
I was working the levels because I wanted things to punch.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And
Tim knows what I mean.
Yep. Yeah, and he'd be like, the head was dancing, and there was just a lot going on.
Because I want to hit it on the beat.
Yeah.
I'm trying to follow the beat.
You're trying to swim.
Right.
You're swimming in the music.
Yeah, man.
Yes.
I'm surfing.
Yeah, but that's back in the day when you actually had to press the button to start every song because you had a stack of CDs or carts.
Yep.
Now you can just press your autoplay and enjoy your coffee.
And let it roll.
Kick back a little bit on the morning show.
I know.
I've never really seen you stand up and DJ or stand up and chat. Now and then.
You've missed out on a lot, let me tell you.
I'm sad.
Do we stand up the whole 8 o'clock hour? All of us?
It changes. It changes everything.
Well, but the counters are a lot lower than they used to be. Like, that was the other thing. The counters were designed that the boards, the control consoles were higher because a lot of people stood. I wasn't the only one. But these days now, especially, the type of shows that we do, and they're a lot more content focused now. So there's a lot more chat and talk and all that. We, tend to kick back and sit.
We're easing into it.
We just have to, there's a certain amount of hours that ideally they recommend you stand, and that would be 5 hours, 10 minutes. That's just standing and walking around. It doesn't include time spent exercising. They say you should spend at least 5 hours, 10 minutes of your day standing, whatever you're doing.
And then I do that.
4 hours and 20 minutes should be engaged in some level of physical activity. And it can be light activity like walking or doing housework. But then the other half, the other 2 hours and 10 minutes should be some form of actual exercise.
So then the standing and exercising part, we're at how many hours a day? I don't think my math is computing.
4 hours standing. Well, okay, so stand for 5 hours, 10 minutes.
Okay.
And then 4 hours, 20 minutes.
9.5 hours.
Some level of physical activity.
That's 9.5 hours total. Okay.
Yeah, but that counts, cleaning the house, getting ready for work,
chasing
getting ready
animals,
for bed,
scooping litter.
Yes. Walking to the mailbox, taking your dog out.
Right.
Those light activities that you just mentioned are good for 2 hours, 10 minutes.
Right. Running the kids. Yeah. Running after the kids.
But you need to allow 2 hours, 10 minutes for more physical,
including working
moderate
out,
exercise.
taking a walk. Dang. Yeah. Where am I going to do all this?
Where will I find the time?
I can't fit it in, Jeff. I'm so busy.
Too much.
Well, believe me, I ain't preaching. I'm just delivering the message. Blame it on the University of Pennsylvania. Yeah. When was the last time you were in a conversation that was so boring you just stopped listening?
Oh, God.
I don't.
It
happens
a lot.
I don't want to say because it might incriminate some people in this room. I'm just kidding.
It's so hard. Peopling is so hard sometimes.
Yeah.
It's and you can. It's so easy to get stuck.
I know.
Trapped.
Yeah. New poll asks people how often they get bored during conversations. And almost half of us say it happens sometimes. Another 31% of people say it rarely happens. And, the 5% claim that they're never bored. Now, I read an article. I don't even know where I read it. It was either in the Times or The Economist or one of those magazines. They did an article on what to do when you're trapped. Like, how do you get out of a conversation without making the other person feel crappy? When they're just trying to share something with you, they're trying to be social.
Yeah.
They're trying to connect with you. But sadly, the content of what they're talking about is boring you to tears, and you're having a really hard time focusing.
Especially if you're in a room where there's a lot of other activity, and you can tell there are other conversations that would be way more fun to be involved in.
No doubt. So you might be at a party, and how often, if somebody happens to come around and say, "Oh, Jen, do you know my friend Fritch? Here, I'm going to go grab a drink. I'll be right back." And then I just never return. That's my move.
That's your big move.
You dump them. You dump them on somebody else.
I kind of do. But there's a couple of other ways that you can do that. Like, you can say, at some point, if you get to a point where you just can't hang in there any longer, well, listen, I'm going to go get a drink. Can I get you anything? And then take advantage of that opportunity. Mm-hmm. There's one CEO who was at a party. He was kind of trapped in the middle of a long dining room table, and so he had nowhere to go.
Yeah.
So he couldn't leave this person.
Yeah.
And so he said to the person, whatever it was they were talking about, he says, "I think we've exhausted my interest in this topic. What else you got?"
Oh,
really?
Wow.
But it was, and it was funny because like the person paused and took it in for a second and was kind of chuckled and moved on.
Yeah.
And the conversation continued, but it was at least from that point on.
What was the phrase
more
again?
Interesting.
I think we've exhausted.
I think we've exhausted my interest in this topic. What else you got? So it was his way of saying.
Well, what else does he have? What does he have to offer? Why is he putting it on the other person to come up with the next topic?
One could argue. Yeah.
It doesn't quite seem fair. That almost feels like entertain me. It kind of feels like the king with the court jester. I'm done with this act.
Yeah.
Well, he was the company CEO.
Yeah, but
and it kind of felt like this person was sort of trying to impress or get his attention, wanted an audience with this guy.
Okay.
And maybe was just running out of interesting things to say, and the dude didn't want to be rude, but he's trapped there and he just wants to eat his dinner. But
yeah.
You don't think that's rude saying, I think we've exhausted everything we could talk about?
Exhausted my interest.
Yeah.
No,
my interest
I think
rude.
No, I think we've exhausted my interest in this topic because he felt like whatever they were talking about, they had beaten to death, and the guy was starting to repeat himself. You've met those people.
Yeah.
And he was ready to move on to the next thing.
I wish he would have just been like, hey,
I wish he would just brought up a new subject himself.
Or I'm going to go eat now. I'll catch you later.
Was this the CEO guy? Because I would love to be in his meetings.
Me too.
Oh, right.
Moving along. I got mills
that
to make.
That would be a great way to get out of a meeting. I think I've exhausted you've exhausted my interest in this topic. I'm out of here.
Yeah. How many times have you been in a meeting where it eventually becomes a situation where people are just repeating themselves and saying the same thing over and over again?
Where's the bell? Somebody has.
Yep.
Right.
I said that to Jeff yesterday when I was going into the meeting. I was like, well, I'm going into the meeting. I'll see you when I get out.
It's not the word you use.
Or I won't.
Yep.
Meeting was not the word she used.
It was a synonym for meeting.
Synonym?
A cinnamon.
And it rhymes with bell. I'm going into
the meeting is what I said.
Fill in the blank. And then Fritz said, I think we've exhausted my interest in this topic. What else you got?
I triple dog dare you say that.
What are you going to give me if I do?
I don't
mean,
know.
it needs to be something in it for me.
There
I'm
doesn't
gonna
have
get
to
reaction.
be. I mean, it's not in a triple dog dare. I don't think the rule. I think the rule is if you get triple dog dare, you just have to do it.
Video or it didn't happen.
I'm not. There's a whole room full of witnesses.
That's
so
true.
A, you will know. B, you have to make it worth my while because I'm definitely going to piss off the boss.
Well, and listen, if you get pushback, say this point has been beaten to death. We're repeating ourselves. What's next? You know, what have we not resolved about this?
What else you got?
These all sound
What else you got?
What else you got? What if
I'm still here.
If the person says, "No, well, I really don't have anything else," then what?
Thank you, everyone.
Dinner's over.
Thank you, everyone.
There are some times in the meeting where I'll see people just start looking at each other. Like they're just looking at each other like, I'm done. Like they're looking at each other. Or there'll be like a text thread that goes around like, how much longer do you think this is going to happen?
We're all looking at the text
They're all just
in
looking
front
at
of
each other.
everybody. Everyone's phone is bleeping.
Yes. And it's like all of the most random conversations in this meeting. We have this standing Monday meeting, this creative meeting that a lot of people from all 4 radio stations go to in the building. And it's funny because when we start to get around the 50 to 55 minute mark of this meeting is when everybody's like, they're all grabbing their phones.
And it generally lasts
They're
about an
looking at
hour.
each other. Yeah.
Sometimes a little more.
But we know we're
So
about to
you're
be
almost
cut
done.
loose. So everybody's like, what do you think? What do you think? Blah, 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 blah. Yeah. It's funny.
Start stacking your papers. Look, I'm getting ready
Yeah.
to go.
When you go-
Got
yep.
my keys out.
When
This
you
is the
start-
sound of let's wrap it up.
Yep.
Yeah.
He's not wrong.
Yeah, I mean, even the Wall Street Journal came out with an article on how to contain meetings. Like, if you want meetings to be effective, then you pretty much got to set a time limit on. Like, look, we got this much time to figure this out, so let's get to it.
Yeah.
Ideas.
Like
Yeah.
that.
Talk
No,
to
it's
me.
great. Yeah.
And then when you hit that mark, you know, assuming you've moved through everything and
Yeah.
you're not at the repeating yourself stage. All right. Thank you, everyone.
Okay.
You have your action plan.
There you go. Get out.
A little before 8 o'clock, Jeff and Jen, Cincinnati's Q102. Thank you, everyone. We're going to move on to the next topic after the break. Jeff and Jen, Q102.
Well, we got wet roads out there and plenty of accidents. Northbound on 75, a new accident right around 74. Traffic is slow if you're heading eastbound on 74 from North Bend. You still have that accident northbound 75 north of the Lateral. Traffic is slow from 74. You have an accident north 71-75 at Buttermilk. It's on the ramp. Traffic is slow from 275 into downtown. Another accident northbound 71-75 at Turfway. The right lane is blocked. Traffic is bumper to bumper all the way back to right around Richwood. You've got one southbound 71 south of Ronald Reagan. The right lane is blocked there. You're slow from north of Fields Erdel in that southbound direction. North 471's heavy from 275 to the river. Metro now is extending coverage and hours in 2024. Go Metro, your way to go. I'm Denise Johnson. That's your traffic.
This